Now, let's come to you then and move on to health issues. And, well, blood, first of all.
Yeah, let's talk blood now. For an adult man weighing about 200 pounds, they'll have about 12 pints of blood. That's 6 litres. For women weighing 165 pounds, you're looking at around 4.3 litres, which equates to 9 pints. So blood is unique. It is unique to us. It's a very, very precious commodity. And I want to talk about blood transfusion in particular. Now, I'm not going to touch on the vaccinated blood debate because you'll see where I'm going with this segment. So that's a whole new segment of its own. But blood's thicker than water. Blood brothers. Well, let's remind ourselves of the hepatitis blood inquiry, which actually this has been going on for 40 years. And the victims and some of them are dead actually, but the victims still haven't received any compensation. So we know that there are massive problems with infected blood, but it seems as though we haven't learnt our lessons. But there are other uses of blood. And back in 2017, BBC Three was reporting a story about the super rich were injecting blood from teenagers to gain immortality. Now, this was a clinical trial that was held in San Francisco that was offering blood transfusions for older patients from younger people, and that was plasma. And we're looking at £6,200 for 2.5 years of plasma. Now, these blood transfusions back then were being promoted at society galas. It was a big thing. So you bought your ticket for the gala for $195, and then you would get a handout once you got there. Now, if you look further into what you actually had to do when you got the handout, is that you would have to pay $285,000 to enroll on this clinical trial and this scheme to be able to be transfused with young plasma. Now, there was plenty of interest. There was one company called Ambrosia, and Ambrosia started the whole thing. But there have been other companies like Cellularity and Google, Calico, plenty of interest in young blood, even to the point of using placental blood. So this was all about age reversal, right, and immortality. But the FDA soon put their foot down and said that absolutely not, we cannot use young blood. And that's why I'm titling this segment Young Blood. We cannot use young blood for this purpose. However, the narrative has changed. So what has it changed into? Well, it's changed into using young blood for Alzheimer's. So if we look at this study here, young blood plasma administration to fight Alzheimer's disease. Now, this is basically young plasma, and it says that it has potential therapeutic properties by ameliorating aspects of disease present in Alzheimer's disease patients, and the clinical trials are underway. Now, Interesting Engineering also brought out a very interesting article in 2023. So we're coming right up to date now, 2023, where researchers have been finding that young blood could have rejuvenating effect when infused into older bodies to rejuvenate heart muscle and generally organs. But then in 2024, March, so this month, this has just been published, and this is Exercised Blood Plasma Promotes Hippocampal Neurogenesis in the Alzheimer's Disease of a Rat Brain. Now, the hippocampus is in the limbic system, and it holds all your memories, your working memory, your rote memory, autobiographical memories. So you can see how that plays into Alzheimer's. But if we go to look at the conclusion of that paper, you can see that it says our proof of concept study demonstrates that plasma from exercise-trained donors can protect neuronal cells in culture and promote hippocampal neurogenesis in Alzheimer's disease rat brains. Now, I just want to rewind a little bit to a TED Talk that was given 8 years ago. This was given by Professor Tony Weiss-Corey. Now, he's a professor of neurology at Stanford, and he studies degeneration and the degeneration of brains. And I want you to listen very carefully just to the end of his talk. Let's have a listen.
So to summarize, we find the old mouse and its brain in particular are malleable. They're not set in stone. We can actually change them. They can be rejuvenated. Young blood factors can reverse aging, and what I didn't show you, in this model, the young mouse actually suffers from exposure to the old. So there's old blood factors that can accelerate aging. And most importantly, humans may have similar factors because we can take young human blood and have the similar effect. Old human blood, I didn't show you, does not have this effect. It does not make the mice younger. So is this magic transferable to humans? We're running a small clinical study at Stanford where we treat Alzheimer's patients with mild disease with a pint of young plasma from young volunteers, 20-year-olds, and do this once a week for 4 weeks. And then we look at their brains with imaging, we test them cognitively, and we ask their caregivers for daily activities of living. What we hope is that there are some signs of improvement by this treatment. And if that's the case, that could give us hope that what I showed you works in mice might also work in humans. Now, I don't think we will live forever. But maybe we discovered that the fountain of youth is actually within us, and it has just dried out. And if we can turn it back on a little bit, maybe we can find the factors that are mediating these effects. We can produce these factors synthetically, and we can treat diseases of aging, such as Alzheimer's disease or other dementias.
So, as we know, Alzheimer's is a big agenda in the UK, and actually the Alzheimer's guidance has been written by our very own Raj Long from the MHRA, who we know has no qualifications either in geriatrics. She's not a geriatrician, she's not a doctor, she's not a psychologist, she's a nobody, but she's written the agenda, and we know that it was high on David Cameron's agenda. So what was interesting about that was they were not just talking about the effects of young blood on old people, but they were talking about the negative effects of older blood within younger people. So my question to everybody out there, and if we've got any hematologists, of which I haven't met very many, but if we have any hematologists, they could perhaps answer that question in the effect that, do we know who we're getting blood from? Would an 18-year-old want to receive my blood, for example? So that's a question I'm throwing out. But on top of that, we can see that the National Citizen Service and the NHS are very busy. They are encouraging teenagers to sign up to donate their first pint. And we've got this first pint campaign going on, which actually means that at 16, please sign up is what they're saying, and you can give as early as 17. So looking at UK fundraising, you can see that they're looking for a lot of people. They're looking for 135,000 new blood donors, specifically 40,000 new black donors, and they're encouraging teenagers to register. But just to finish this segment off, I just want to finish on an article in The Guardian written by Zoe Williams, columnist, who woke up one morning and found an email in her inbox, and it said, would she please donate a kidney? And that's what she received in her inbox, as crazy as it might sound. Would she please donate a kidney? She decided she would decline, but maybe in the future she might give some platelets. But are we looking at body parts, organ donation, blood donation?
Okay, thank you, Debbie.